You could memorize the entire English dictionary, use flawless grammar, and pronounce every single syllable with absolute mathematical perfection.
Right, and you would still sound completely unnatural to a native speaker.
Exactly. Why? Because the real secret to fluency, it isn't found in the big fancy vocabulary words.
No, not at all.
It's hiding in the tiny, almost invisible filler words that most textbooks just completely ignore.
Yeah, it's really the mortar between the bricks. When we learn a language, we tend to focus exclusively on the rigid structural elements,
The nouns, verbs.
Right, the nouns, the verbs, the strict grammar rules. We build this solid wall. But then you step into an actual spontaneous conversation, and that neat little wall just crumbles.
Because it has no flexibility.
Exactly.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping into a really fascinating breakdown from the popular YouTube channel, Mr. English Channel.
It's a great channel.
It really is. And their recent video serves as this sort of masterclass guide to the everyday words that actually make up native-like conversation.
Yeah.
The real stuff.
Right. So our mission today is to take these linguistic building blocks and show you how to use them so you can stop sounding like a stiff robot and start sounding like a local.
I love that.
So, Ray, let's unpack this, because the material we're looking at isn't about teaching you words like, I don't know, photosynthesis or macroeconomics.
No, what's fascinating here is the core concept that true fluency is really about mastering incredibly common, almost invisible keys that unlock smoother interactions.
Keys that most learners don't even notice.
Exactly. Native speakers don't walk around using a massive academic vocabulary. They rely on a very specific toolkit of everyday phrases to navigate complex social situations.
And nowhere is that toolkit more critical than in a professional setting, right?
Yeah.
Think about the language we use to just survive the office.
Oh, absolutely. The office is a minefield.
It is. You're constantly walking this tightrope between managing your time, your tasks, and, most importantly, your relationships with your colleagues.
The video points out a very specific cluster of words we use for this. Words like actually, probably, kind of, sort of, deal with, and schedule.
And if we look closely at why these specific words dominate professional spaces, it really comes down to a fundamental tension.
Which is?
Well, in a work environment, you are constantly balancing the need to convey factual information with the need to preserve those working relationships.
Right. You can't just be a robot.
No, if you just throw raw, unfiltered facts at your coworkers, it almost always comes off as aggressive.
That makes a lot of sense when you consider the stakes. If my boss states the project deadline is Tuesday, and I respond with, no, the deadline is Wednesday.
Oof. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I am technically correct. That is a fact. But it is also a terrifying way to speak to a manager.
Feels very combative.
Exactly. But as the video highlights, if I drop in the word actually and say, actually, the deadline is Wednesday,
It's totally different.
the entire dynamic shifts. I've suddenly transformed from an aggressive subordinate into a helpful team player who is just gently correcting the record.
Precisely. Actually introduces a gentle contradiction. Psychologically, it signals to the listener that you recognize you are correcting them and you are trying to soften the blow.
You're being polite.
Right. It preserves their dignity while still getting the necessary fact on the table.
It totally changes the vibe. While watching the breakdown, I realized you could actually look at words like kind of, sort of, and actually as verbal shock absorbers.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, think about it. If you're driving a car over a bumpy road, the shock absorbers don't change the destination of your journey, but they make the ride a whole lot smoother for the person sitting in the passenger seat.
That's a perfect way to put it. They prevent the conversation from jarring the listener.
Right.
Because without those shock absorbers, professional communication is entirely too blunt. Consider the phrases kind of or sort of. If you are in a high-stakes meeting and you announce, I am tired, that's a hard fact. It demands attention and potentially derails the agenda.
Everyone just stops and looks at you.
Exactly. But saying, I'm kind of tired today, adds a crucial layer of nuance. You are participating, you are sharing your state, but you are managing expectations without shutting down the room.
So I want you, the listener, to think about your last work email in English.
Oh, this is a good exercise.
Right. Did you read it back and realize you sounded a bit demanding? Because I've certainly done that.
We all have.
Writing something like, I will finish this later, feels incredibly rigid. It almost sounds like a threat.
It does.
But simply adding probably, like I'll probably finish this later, introduces a strong possibility. It's maybe 90% sure, while politely leaving a 10% wiggle room.
It's socially acceptable diplomacy.
Yes.
It is the language of diplomacy. And speaking of framing our work, I found the video's analysis of the phrase deal with particularly insightful.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting.
Saying I have to deal with a lot of emails does something entirely different to our brains than saying I am reading email.
Reading email sounds so passive.
Exactly. To deal with implies handling a situation, usually a complex or slightly problematic one.
It elevates the task. Saying I'm dealing with the client sounds so much more authoritative than I am talking to the client.
It frames you as a problem solver.
Not just an employee completing a chore.
Right.
And organizing all of this problem solving brings us to schedule. But what struck me isn't just that a schedule is a calendar.
What is it then?
It's the psychological framework we use to contain all this structured productivity. We need that framework to feel in control.
We absolutely do. A schedule gives us necessary boundaries, but
those boundaries don't last.
no, the moment we clock out and meet a friend for coffee, those boundaries completely vanish.
Thank goodness.
Right. A boardroom meeting has an agenda, but a spontaneous chat at a pub is sprawling and chaotic. You can't use office tools to navigate a messy, everyday conversation.
You really can't. I've always noticed that when I'm telling a story and suddenly remember a totally unrelated detail, I just abruptly change the subject.
Just swerve right into a new topic.
Yeah. And it always confuses people. I never really thought about the mechanics of how to pivot smoothly until I saw how the video breaks down the connective tissue of conversation.
Phrases like, guess what, by the way, anyway, are returned to actually and I mean.
Yes. Let's talk about those.
It helps to analyze these conversational phrases as verbal turn signals.
Sticking with the car analogy, I love it.
When you're driving, you use indicators to tell the other drivers exactly where you are heading next so they can adjust. These phrases do the exact same thing for the listener's brain.
So how does guess what work?
Guess what is essentially flashing your high beams. It commands the other person to drop whatever they're focusing on and give you their full attention because exciting news is coming.
Right. And then, by the way, is signaling that you are changing lanes.
Exactly.
You're talking about the weather, and suddenly you realize you need to ask about groceries. Oh, by the way, did you remember to buy bread?
It allows for a smooth lane change without causing a conversational pileup. The listener's brain knows, okay, we are pivoting now.
That is so useful.
And if, by the way, is a lane change, anyway is your conversational U-turn.
Oh, we definitely need those.
We all have those moments where we ramble about a side topic for 10 minutes. When you finally need to reel it all back to the main point, you say, anyway, as I was saying.
It resets the context.
Yes, and it's also universally the polite signal for wrapping up an interaction. Anyway, I have to go now. It signals that the exchange has reached its natural conclusion.
The polite exit strategy.
Yeah.
But out of all these tools, the one that blew my mind because of how heavily native speakers rely on it is,
Yes.
The video highlights how we use it to explain ourselves better or soften a harsh statement. Like, the movie was terrible. It wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, that's a classic example.
I look at, as a real-time edit button.
A real-time edit button is a very sharp way to describe it.
Think about the panic when you say something way too strong. You see the other person's face drop, and you realize you've crossed a line.
You can't take it back.
Exactly. In writing, you just hit backspace. But you don't have a backspace key in spoken English. We use the verbal backspace key.
That's brilliant.
You just mash the I mean button to erase the harshness of what just left your mouth and rephrase it while you're still talking, saving yourself from a total social disaster.
You are hitting the brakes on your own sentence to avoid a collision. It is a brilliant psychological safety net.
It really is.
And it's interesting because the video revisits the word actually in this casual context, too.
Oh, right. It functions differently here.
Yes. In a social setting, actually functions as a very polite pivot. If someone asks, do you like coffee? And you just say no, it shuts the door.
A dead end.
But saying, actually, I prefer tea, uses that polite correction to guide the conversation into a new, positive, open-ended direction.
Okay, so we've mastered keeping the peace at the office, and we know how to steer a messy chat at the pub.
We're doing great.
But eventually, the social battery dies, the coffee date ends, and we retreat back into our personal domains.
Our physical homes and our digital screens.
Exactly. And what the video made me realize is that both of these habitats require constant ongoing maintenance.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, maintaining our personal domains requires a highly specific vocabulary focused on control and order.
Right.
The video highlights 3 incredibly common words for the physical home: leftovers, messy, and fix.
Take a word like leftovers. Functionally, we all know what it means. It's the food from last night's dinner.
Right, simple enough.
But linguistically, the creator points out how it operates as a broader concept of efficiency. Saying we have leftovers isn't just a statement about your food inventory.
What is it communicating then?
It's communicating a shared sigh of relief that nobody has to spend time or energy cooking tonight. It's a problem solved.
It's a solution, but the opposite of a solution is messy.
Ah, yes. The messy room.
And the psychology behind messy is fascinating when you compare it to a word like dirty.
They aren't the same thing.
Not at all. Notice how native speakers usually say their room is messy rather than dirty. Dirty implies a fundamental lack of hygiene, which carries social shame.
Oh yeah, you don't want to be dirty.
Exactly. Messy, on the other hand, just implies a temporary lack of order. Things are merely out of place. It's a psychological buffer that forgives the speaker for being disorganized.
That is such a crucial distinction. Being messy is temporary. Being dirty is a character flaw.
Precisely.
And because messy is temporary, it leads perfectly into the verb fix. We fix a messy room, just like we fix a broken sink.
The focus is entirely on taking control of your physical environment and restoring order to it.
And we exert that exact same desire for control over our digital environments too, don't we?
We do. The tech vocabulary outlined in the video, log in, log out, scroll, upload, and download, is universally used now.
Yeah, everybody knows those.
But what is truly interesting is how we co-opted physical, spatial verbs to describe abstract digital actions.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. We use physical words for the internet.
Yes. The internet isn't a physical place, yet we use the language of physical navigation. You log in to gain entry as if unlocking the front door of your digital house.
That makes total sense.
You scroll to walk through the rooms, a term originating from physically unrolling a piece of parchment. And you log out to secure the perimeter when you leave.
We map our physical understanding of space onto our screens to make sense of them.
Exactly.
While watching this segment on Upload and Download, I realized you could actually look at this biologically too to help keep them straight.
Biologically? How so?
Think of the cloud, the internet, as the atmosphere above you.
Okay.
Downloading a file to your device is like inhaling. You are breathing content from the external world down into your personal system.
I see where you're going with this.
Right. And uploading a photo to social media is like exhaling. You are breathing your personal content back out into the world. Inhale to download, exhale to upload.
That is a highly effective way to conceptualize it. And whether you are exhaling data into the cloud or fixing a leaky sink in your messy kitchen, these acts of maintenance in both the digital and physical worlds are all about exerting agency.
But exerting all that agency takes energy.
It really does.
Dealing with these environments, like battling a messy kitchen or waiting for a massive file to inhale and download on slow internet, it inevitably triggers our internal emotions. We generate these feelings, and then we carry them with us when we leave the house and head out into the city.
This is a critical psychological transition in the vocabulary. The video highlights 3 core emotional words that native speakers use constantly to describe their internal state: annoyed, excited, and frustrated.
Okay, wait. Let me push back on something right here.
Sure, go ahead.
Because I need to admit some confusion. I know a lot of learners, myself included, hear annoyed and frustrated used almost interchangeably in casual conversation.
They do get mixed up a lot.
But based on the video's breakdown, what is the actual strict mechanical nuance between the two?
It's a vital distinction, and the examples in the video define them beautifully by looking at the source of the feeling.
The source, okay.
Being annoyed is a mild negative feeling about something happening to you. It's an irritation inflicted upon you from the outside.
Like what?
Think of loud music coming from a neighbor's apartment. You're sitting there and the noise is bothering you. You are a passive recipient of the irritation.
I see. So annoyance is passive. It happens to me.
Correct. Frustrated, on the other hand, is active.
Okay.
It is the feeling of being upset because you are trying to achieve a specific goal, but you are blocked. The video uses the example of trying to open a stuck jar or trying to use an app when the internet keeps dropping. You have a goal, you are actively exerting effort to reach it, and a barrier is stopping you.
You're blocked.
Right. That feeling of being actively blocked is frustration.
Oh, wow. Okay, that completely shifts how I understand those words. So if my neighbor's dog is barking, I am annoyed. But if I'm trying to study for a critical exam, and I can't concentrate because the dog is barking, now I am frustrated. because my goal of studying is being blocked.
You've moved from passive irritation to an active blockage.
Exactly.
That is so clear now.
And why does this distinction matter to you, the listener? Because using the exact right emotional word instantly builds a deeper, more accurate empathy with whoever you are talking to.
Right. They understand exactly what you're going through.
If you tell a native speaker you are annoyed by a stuck jar, they will be slightly confused by the mismatch of emotion and action.
Because the jar isn't doing anything to you.
Right. If you say you are frustrated, they instantly connect with that universal human experience of being thwarted.
It paints the exact right psychological picture. It's the same with excited, communicating that high positive energy for a future event.
Mm-hmm.
And we take all of these internal emotions, project them out into the external world. Which brings us to how we navigate city life and shopping.
Ah, the city vocabulary. There is one phrase in the video's city section that, if you don't understand its dual meaning, will literally cause you extreme embarrassment at the supermarket.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
The phrase is checkout.
Checkout is a notoriously tricky phrasal verb because its two meanings depend entirely on the context of your environment.
Yeah, if you're walking down the street with a friend and they point across the road and say, hey, check out that new restaurant.
They are issuing a friendly invitation to observe something interesting.
Right. But if you are inside a grocery store holding a basket of food and an employee points and says, you can check out over there.
Completely different.
They're absolutely not telling you to go look at something interesting. They are directing you to the cash register to complete a financial transaction.
Context changes the mechanism. One is a low-pressure invitation to observe. The other is a strict transactional directive.
You do not want to mix those up.
No, you don't. And speaking of transactions, the video includes the phrase run out of. This means to have zero left of a necessary supply.
Like, we ran out of milk, or I ran out of gas.
Exactly. It's essentially the catalyst phrase for why we have to go out into the city to go shopping in the first place.
It is the universal household emergency phrase. We ran out of coffee. Panic immediately ensues.
A true emergency.
And finally, we have take a look. Like, take a look at this offer, or take a look at my homework.
Which operates similarly to the first meaning of checkout. It is a softening phrase.
Softening it how?
It's a friendly, low-pressure invitation to briefly review something. It is psychologically much softer and less demanding than saying, review my homework.
Oh yeah, review my homework sounds so intense.
It does. Take a look asks for a quick, casual glance rather than a deep, critical analysis.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out and look at this entire collection of everyday phrases.
From the office to the grocery store.
Right. From using actually as a shock absorber at the office to navigating the supermarket with checkout, what is the ultimate takeaway for the listener?
The core insight is that native fluency isn't about memorizing a dictionary of 10,000 obscure academic words.
It's really not.
True fluency is about deploying these specific small phrases perfectly. It's about knowing when to use a conversational turn signal to guide a friend, or an edit button, to save yourself from a social collision.
Yeah.
It is about using language not just to transmit raw data, but to empathetically connect with people and navigate shared spaces.
It brings us right back to the wall of bricks we talked about at the very beginning.
Full circle.
If you just have perfect vocabulary and perfect grammar, you just have a pile of heavy, rigid facts.
Right.
You need the mortar.
You need the mortar.
You need the I means and the ways and the sort of famines to hold those facts together, to give the wall flexibility.
And to make it a comfortable place to actually live and communicate.
Exactly.
And that raises a really important question about the mechanics of language and culture as a whole.
Oh, leave us with a thought to chew on.
I'd like you, the listener, to think about your own mother tongue for a moment. What are the exact equivalent words for, or by the way, in your native language?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because every language has this connective tissue. But do they serve the exact same psychological purpose?
Do they?
That's the question. Do your native filler words act as the same kind of verbal shock absorbers? Or do they reveal something totally different about how your specific culture navigates politeness, correction, and human connection?
Oh, I love that. Analyzing your own language's filler words to uncover your own culture's hidden conversational traffic laws.
It's a lot to think about.
That is a brilliant question to ponder on your own. Well, thank you for joining us today to unlock these everyday keys to fluency. Keep listening closely to the conversations around you, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.